Good afternoon, good evening. I think that's good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My privilege to welcome you all for today's budget program. This program which always has been looked upon some expectation. The Finance Minister presents his budget and later the news from media receives a lot more information to know the minor points where how they spread out the budget. Now we have a panel of experts today with us, Mr. Bhanu Shekhar, Mr. P. Ravindran and Mr. K. Vaidishwaran, who are all encyclopedias in their own fields. And I extend a very warm welcome to all our panel speakers. I do not like to go, they would like they can go into the budget in detail, but I only feel that it's a mixed bag of pains and some relief. I have only one point which I would like to stress that has been put for the SME segment is the diversion of the fund or a sale of asset when invested in new plant and machinery is fully exempt. Is a good welcome measure for the SME industry is what I felt. I do not want the taxation and other effects to be all taken care by the panelists. Just like to thank all of you for once again coming here. I request Mr. Harihan, our chairman of expert committee of direct taxes, to please introduce Mr. Bhanu Shekhar. Welcome, Mr. Bhanu Shekhar.
Good evening, everybody. I have the facility of presenting Mr. Bhanu Shekhar. Bhanu Shekhar household for tax practitioners and Chennai. The practitioner for settlement of education practitioner for the tribunal as well as committee as CFAs. Who is all rolled into one. He has been a contributor to many articles in Hindu. He has authored a few books in relation to assessment procedure, search and seizure, which is why he is a specialist for settlement commission. He has been part of the International Fiscal Association. He is going to be a faculty of the International Fiscal Association for us also. I am also a part of the International Fiscal Association. And he has held positions of office as an elected member to the Southern India Regional Council. But I think we can keep on going on. If you want more paper on Bhanu Shekhar, the idea today is to discuss the direct tax proposals of the Union Budget 2012-13. I have a great pleasure in presenting before you Mr. Bhanu Shekhar.
Office bearers of the chamber, respected seniors and other friends. I qualified the course of Chartered Accountancy in 1994, and probably since that time I qualified in the budgets after that at least I have read a little bit. And probably this is the one bill where I have seen the maximum amount of damage which can be caused to us. And probably one bill where they have carefully gone through every single decision and implemented, worked on. There is so much in this direct tax proposals which probably was all part of not even what was said by the finance minister. The finance minister made it appear as though he is increasing the basic taxable limit from 1,80,000 to 2 lakh. Effectively bringing a parity between men and women. At last, women have reached that level to some extent. So women are not having a basic exemption higher than us. And then he talked about his bringing in a car, he talked about bringing in an advanced pricing mechanism, he talked about 80D, where you will get 5,000 rupees for the checkup. He talked about one or two more things like this and said this will cost the exchequer 4,500 crore. Numbers how it is arrived at, I would not understand, but this is what I broadly heard. And I really was wondering what I would speak when I heard this, because I still remember last year after the finance bill, the budget, much before that when people had requested me to come and address, I said there will be no changes this time. I will not accept an invitation to address anywhere. The reason was I was quite sure that there will be no changes, and they lived up to that expectation. There was nothing at all in the last year's budget, so far as direct tax was concerned. That was probably because they were convinced that they will have the direct tax code in place in this year, that is in 2012. It's quite okay. That is in 2012. But for whatever reasons, that doesn't seem to be. The one thing that seems quite apparent from this bill, the way it is structured, is that they are convinced that the direct tax code is not going to come. Because most of the proposals that they have thought of in terms of the direct tax code are being brought in here itself. And logically also, 2013 will be their last full budget, 2014, assuming the government doesn't derail. Because rail is a problem now. If the government doesn't derail, then elections will be in 2014, that will be a vote on account, so their last full budget will be 2013, which means I don't think they will venture into having the direct tax code in that year, probably. And if the government comes back, maybe the code is there, otherwise it's all gone, probably. Only that that way we should be happy. Hindustan Chamber had one meeting on direct tax code where I also spoke. Some money was made by the chamber in terms of the fees that was collected, etc. Tavera made some money. All of this would have happened. The distribution of wealth would have happened as a result of this. But not getting into that, I think they seem to be quite convinced about it. That's one thing that I see very clearly. The second thing I see very clearly is there is no point in planning tax affairs at all. Whatever the officer says is the correct view. If the officer says this is how it should be taxed, and if you don't agree and litigate, ultimately you will win only to lose. In fact, I was speaking about a month and a half back, pardon me for the arrogance, I was speaking about a month and a half back on the Vodafone issue somewhere, and somebody asked me what will be the net effect of all these Vodafone issues. I said the net effect is that Vodafone would be poorer. If my rumors are correct, whatever I have heard is correct, Vodafone will be poorer by 35 crores and, 11,035 crores, government will be richer by 11,000 crores and Harish Salve will be richer by 35 crores. Because it is rumored that Harish Salve got a fee of 50 crores for it. He will pay 30% thereof as tax, which is anyway a deductible expenditure for Vodafone. Consequently, what will happen is that 15 crore tax will be paid either by Harish Salve or by Vodafone. So government doesn't get anything out of it. Harish Salve will get 35 crore. Government will amend the law, collect the 11,000 crore. 35 crore, he will be richer, they will be poorer. Now they are saying it is constitutionally not valid. So probably he will become even richer. We don't know if they engage him, otherwise some other lawyer will become. There is absolutely no fun in litigation. Best thing is what the officer says is the correct thing. If we are willing to accept this, I think this is the budget. And I think we will have to come to terms with all this. Probably one decision which was most discussed in the recent past was the decision of Supreme Court on Vodafone. Now Vodafone is simply overturned by an amendment, making an amendment in 214 in the definition of capital asset, making an amendment in 247 in the definition of the term transfer, making an amendment in the provisions relating to Section section 9, where they say what is deemed to accrue or rise in India, etc., etc., etc. All of it is done to ensure that Vodafone is put back into the tax net in respect of the transfer that happened of the share from Hutch to Vodafone. I thought my head was full enough. I will try to maintain my cool. I don't think this is probably that what is required for me to maintain my cool. Anyway, now the provisions have been amended completely, but the way the amendment has happened, 247 particularly, the way it has been amended, it looks like, if you look at the direct tax code, there were provisions similar to what is happening now, but at that time, or in the direct tax code, there was a proposal that there should be a transfer of beyond a particular limit, holding beyond a particular limit, etc., which is clearly absent here. Which means that if there is any transfer of shares of a company, there is likely to be the invocation of 247. Irrespective of whether it is a closely held company, widely held company, if somebody sells shares to somebody, company may end up with capital gains tax. That's how the amendment reads as of today. That's something that definitely needs to be addressed. Again, the one other very alarming amendment that they are seeking to make, which can have very, very far-reaching effect, is the amendment that they are proposing in section 195. In fact, interestingly, this does not even form part of the explanatory memorandum. Probably because the amendment in 195 itself is by an explanation. Why should I explain an explanation? Explanation itself is explanation. Therefore, I will not bring it part of the explanatory memorandum. Now, what does the amendment say? Look at how carefully it is done. It says, for removal of doubts, it is clarified that the obligation to comply with subsection 1, that is with the requirement to deduct tax on payments outside India, and to make deduction thereunder applies and shall be